and Midnight Data Center promise on the guest badge. The data center breathes like a sleeping machine that dreams in temperature. By day it's a hum in a box on a diagram. After midnight it becomes a chapel of blue LEDs and duty. I signed the visitor log with a pen that made me briefly honest and slid my phone face down into my left pocket, the pocket I use for things that are supposed to make it home. Security handed me a laminated badge that smelled faintly of citrus wipes and regulations. "Cold aisle on your left," the guard said, as if direction could double as absolution. Back home, Mateo had said, "Can we talk tomorrow?" in the voice that really means please stay now. Our couch is a courtroom when it wants to be. If we sit at opposite ends long enough, it swears us in and bills by the minute. I left before opening statements we'd eat for breakfast. The night bus coughed me out 2 blocks from the facility, and on the sidewalk my screen lit with a message from Adrian in my contacts, in the way I label hazards to make them smaller. Staging bay. Just talk. By day I fix other people's paragraphs for a security company whose marketing insists safety is an adjective. By night I try not to turn my own sentences into weapons. Mateo and I keep a code when we remember it. T means come here, you awake. Means I'm scared. Tomorrow means not yet, but don't go far. 2 months ago a client tour introduced me to Adrian, who keeps this place honest. He has the posture of a man who can hear packet loss as a distant thunder. Sleeves pushed, collar unpunished, a laugh that sounds like a glass agreeing to be set down gently. He didn't ask for anything. That was how I started bringing him everything. We met in the staging bay between cages. The concrete floor reflected the hum like a low sky. Adrian leaned against a rack of spare rails, light throwing quiet squares across his jaw. He held a coil of fiber in one hand like an argument he could win without raising his voice. "You came," he said, "because grown men never tire of pretending arrival is a plot twist." "I came to return something," I said. "My access token, your restraint." "Your name," I said. "It's been on my mouth too long for its own health." He set my guest badge on a rolling cart and placed a permanent marker beside it, cap off, smell like a promise that won't wash out. "3 words," he said. "Why are you here?" "3 words is cruel," I said. "That's why they work." He turned the badge until the blank white back faced the world. "No speeches near power rails. They hear you and become offended on principle." I wrote proud at breakfast. Beneath it, smaller like a fuse I might or might not light, touch before arguing. He read the ink as if it had temperature. He didn't touch me. His hand hovered a breath from my lapel, the distance a match keeps during training, and fell away like the cold aisle had a policy. "Does he know?" Adrian asked. He didn't need to weaponize the pronoun. "He knows the apartment is quiet," I said. We stepped into the cold aisle and let the air move through us instead of around us. Fans sang a kind of secular psalm. Blue LEDs blinked like patient decisions. Heat arrived before hands do when men are trying to be better than their appetites. Adrian took 1 step closer. "Tell me no," he said, the sentence he uses when he wants to believe both of us are decent. I didn't. I met him in the inch that rewrites evenings. His mouth tasted like mint and the idea of citrus. When his hand found the back of my neck, his grip remembered humane limits. My body answered like a courtroom that wants the witness anyway. He made the sound men make when a small country surrenders and calls it diplomacy. I made the one I've learned not to hate when it belongs to him. We didn't rush. The cold aisle punishes speed by making you clumsy. His mouth found the hinge of my jaw. Mine found the place behind his ear where regret loses vocabulary. His palm slid under my shirt and rested flat a second. "Do you swear?" Then moved with attention rather than appetite. He guided my hand down with the steadiness of a person who respects tools. I closed my fingers and he exhaled against my mouth a truth nobody paid to hear. He reached for me and I let him. We stayed quiet because racks prefer pros. A thermal sensor watched without judgment and logged the mercy in a line no one would read. "We already cheated," he said when breath remembered its job. "We cheated when we started telling each other the truth before we told it at home." "I know," I said, and the aisle didn't change its mind. He slid the badge into my left pocket with ceremonial slowness. His thumb traced my wrist once and chose not to stay. He stepped back the moral inch that passes inspection. "I blocked out a hot desk upstairs," he said, not triumphant. "Weather report, not prophecy. Refundable. We could stand at the window and not touch for 60 seconds to prove we remember ceremony. We could keep the do not disturb honest." "I'm tired of being clever," I said. "Clever's a marketing deck," he said. "Accurate is the audit." He opened a drawer in the tool chest and produced a novelty magnet shaped like a tiny server, ridiculous and perfect, and pressed it into my palm. "For your fridge," he said. "Cold helps letters behave." He walked me through a maintenance window, showed me how you cradle a switch so cables don't feel abandoned. He pointed out a log line where latency confessed to boredom. He said, "Text me a weather report in the morning. Tell me if the kettle beat the reasons." "It usually does," I said, "when we let it." Outside, the night had the decency to be specific. The crosswalk gave me time, I took it. The apartment offered its square of kitchen light and the fridge's patient hum. Mateo sat on the floor with his back against the door, sleeves pushed to his elbows, one ankle crossed over the other, the posture manuals use when they draw people who want a morning they can recognize. He didn't ask where I'd been. He tilted his head toward the place beside him. I sat. "Do you want to be asked?" he said, voice steady, not performing mercy, offering it. "Please," I said, "because prompts are scaffolding when you want to build anything on purpose." "Are you lonely?" "Some nights," I said. "Not here, not when you ask first, not when the kettle outruns the reasons." I put his hand on my forearm the way he likes to confirm I'm not inventing weather. His thumb traced once and believed me. "I feel useful," he said. "I want to be wanted before I'm useful." "Tonight's procedure," I said. "Touch first, argue second, report later." The kettle clicked like a stamp in a country that still trusts the mail. He poured water over mint. We called it dinner because names are cheaper than regret. I pinned the badge beneath the server magnet so proud at breakfast faced the room. Mateo read the ink and his mouth did the smaller, braver thing. He took the dry erase marker from the cup by the fridge and wrote beneath the magnet, "Tomorrow, keep the torque." He didn't grin. He nodded like a man assembling a morning from honest screws. We made a rule that isn't noble. When prosecution tries to wear a bathrobe, one of us says data center and the other puts the kettle on while the first puts his hands where history can find them. 5 words when 5 are enough. Stop at the shoulder, not the ditch. Try to want what we promised, and when we don't, write 3 words on small plastic and tell the room where we'll fail differently tomorrow. Days do what days do when you're trying to be an amateur human with professional consistency. The laminate in my pocket learned the shape of my left hand. Plastic learns its carriers. On the late bus, I drafted messages to no one that began "I didn't ask" because I thought that counted as kindness and ended "May your breakfast go right." I didn't send them. The not sending felt like a skill borrowed from backups. Keep 2 copies of anything worth saving. Test restores on quiet afternoons. A week later, afternoon tried to be a test. A client demanded certainty with a discount. A storm decided the city needed new priorities. I walked past the facility and bought nothing. I left a bottle of water on the loading dock with a note, "For whoever is waiting for a sister." A forklift beeped in the key of mercy. On my way home, I slipped a blank cable flag into my pocket and wrote "Turn toward your name" across the clean side. I didn't light anything. Adrian and I adjusted our grammar, fewer messages. No hot desks with curtains that applaud poor judgment. If we failed quieter. If we stopped without applause. Still, we orbited. He sent a graph where my initials hid in the legend. I replied with steam curling over 2 mugs and Mateo's unshowy script under the magnet, torque. We flirted by throughput. We confessed by maintenance windows. On a night when the river bullied the bridges, an upstream provider hiccuped and half the city's confidence lost its footing. Adrian texted, "Fiber flap, need hands, bring nothing sentimental." I was 5 blocks away and too willing. We traced light with calm voices, reseated a module that had opinions, negotiated with reality until it remembered its job. When the alarm settled into the green that says "Stay humble," he leaned against the rack and breathed like a man who prefers repairs to applause. He kissed me in the cold aisle. My spine met a door labeled "Emergency Exit Only." His hand found my hip. Somewhere a temp sensor logged a spike the room could handle. We didn't rush. We mapped mercy with our mouths and rehearsal with our hands. His palm slid under my shirt and paused. "Do you swear?" Then moved only as far as the better version of me allowed. I bracketed him with a grip he could leave without proving anything. He reached for me and I let him. We stayed quiet because alerts had been generous and the room deserved the courtesy. "We're bad at quitting," he said into my jaw. "We're good at failing differently," I said into his neck. He laughed once, the small, stubborn kind of a man who wants an audit more than a miracle. "Text me a weather report in the morning," he said. "Tell me if the kettle beat the reasons." "It usually does," I said, "when we let it." Mateo met me at home with the posture of a question he had decided not to weaponize. He smelled like basil and our laundry's survivable optimism. "Hungry?" he asked, and for once it wasn't rhetorical. We ate toast like it had been newly invented. After, he wrote under the magnet, "Ask before leaving." I wrote, "Hold me first." We signed it with our names because sometimes paperwork is what keeps 2 men from becoming hatchets. On a Tuesday that felt unromantic enough to hold truth, I told him inventory. Adrian's name, the rooms, the fence I kept bragging about by leaning on it. He did not audition for sainthood or jury duty. He said, "Stay while you learn the thing you say you want to learn, but don't make me a lobby where you leave your conscience with the umbrellas." Breakfast became a place with rules. No phones at the table. No rehearsed cruelty before coffee. No pretending tomorrow is a closet where tonight can hang unexamined. I turned the badge over and added 3 new words: "Choose the hard." Mateo watched me write and didn't ask for a receipt. We shrank the orbit. Fewer keycard doors. No aisles unless light needed us. Adrian sent a photo of the status page all green, captioned "Stayed." I hearted it and didn't go. He hearted the heart and let it be. Sometimes Mateo asks whether Adrian made me feel seen. I tell him yes, and that being seen isn't the same as being kept. He nods like a map allowing a road to be closed without deleting it. Some evenings he places my hand on his chest and says whether, and I answer with steam and minutes and the older hunger that chooses his shoulder before it chooses an argument. We fail and fail differently and fail in ways that don't require anyone to stand under blue LEDs pretending to know which metric will save them. The room does not demand a verdict. The morning remembers its job. I still carry the guest badge in my left pocket. It warms against my thigh like minor gravity, heavier than laminate has the right to be. Proud at breakfast. Touch before arguing. Choose the hard. None of it is noble. All of it is procedural, like redundancy. You promise to do the boring work ahead of time so that, When the inevitable happens, you can tell the truth at the speed of your better self. Outside, the city's backbone remembers which lights belong to which names. Inside, our kitchen hums its modest hymn. Mateo leans against the counter and asks, "Are you staying?" without making it a trap. "I'm trying to want what I promised," I say. "Help me make more minutes where that's easy." He nods, finds a clean index card, writes "Read me closely." I write beneath it, "Handle with care." We pin it under the server magnet, ridiculous and effective, and let tomorrow mean only what we can lift without breaking the rack.